everyone, to the Mind, Body, and Soul television show coming to you live from Denver, Colorado, where our internet television studio is, as well as our cable TV studio. And this is where we also broadcast all of our PBS specials. And I'm your host and moderator, Coach Steve Toth, and I have a very interesting and very intriguing guest, Terry Wildeman. She is she's an international speaker, a trainer, an author, and also at an international airport. So
Yes, I am.
she's being very authentic, and she's walking the talk, and she doesn't let
Yeah.
anything stop her. So
hmm
uh, you take that, viewers. Welcome to the
Yeah.
show.
Thank you, Steve. As I sit here on the floor, people are looking at me like I'm crazy. I sit here on the floor. The laptop is perfectly situated on top of my suitcase.
Hmm.
I've got my hotspot going. I got my coffee next to me. I am ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. So, the theme of the show is really about your passion, which is how to merge
Mm,
business and practical laws of attraction
that's right.
principles to create awesome positive results. Because when we're not creating awesome positive results, what are we doing? Terry?
We're creating the exact opposite of that, and I don't even like saying it.
And don't you love it where people tell us that this stuff doesn't work, and then I'll just look at them
Oh,
and smile and go, okay, well then keep doing what you're doing because that seems to be working.
well, it's exactly, and you know, the thing is, when you merge business and law of attraction, you learn to merge it in every single part of your life. Case in point, since I'm at an airport, I'll share a quick story that happened the moment we landed here. I've been away since May 7th. I've been traveling around the country, and we were an hour late today, as I have mentioned to you. And we finally got into Providence. I'm sitting in the airport in Providence, Rhode Island. And the young woman next to me, I didn't even talk with her during the flight because I was so focused on some work that I was doing. And when we landed, it's like she couldn't wait to tell me how she almost didn't make the flight because she left her wallet at home. Now, as a traveling professional, that's almost happened to me, and I know of other people that it happened to. And she was able to find her lease and a credit card, and based on it was stuffed in her backpack, and based on that, she was able to get on the airplane. And she kept going on and on and on. And I finally looked at her and I said, "You're looking at it as if it's really negative." She says, "Well, it was." I said, "How about if you were to look at it as it was a miracle? It was a miracle that your lease was in the bag." And she just stopped cold. She said, "I hadn't thought of that."
Yeah.
And this is what happens in the workplace when negative things happen. We get so caught up in the drama, so caught up in the story, that when we just make a stop, just stop, look, and listen, you hear and see the miracle.
Do you hear that?
Oh,
Denver is making noises.
really?
The sky is making noises, but that's all right. That's all right. We are going to overcome all of this one way or another.
You know what?
And
We laugh a lot. I like being with you because we both laugh a lot.
yeah, yeah. Well, I just had a show actually last week where my guest was extremely serious and took himself extremely seriously, and I think I offended him because I laughed too much on the show.
Oh,
And I wanted to actually talk to you about that because when I reflect on my corporate background, I remember that a lot of people took themselves way too significant.
yeah.
Since you have huge corporate experience and you also, um, train and assist a lot of corporations still today, tell us about that. What is this being significant all about?
I'm taking a deep breath here because, Steve, I'm going to be honest with you. I took myself too bloody seriously, too. I really did. I, I,
Okay.
I did. Hey, full transparency here. I thought I was a hot shot. Da 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 da. And thus, all that intensity, all that seriousness
Mhm.
landed me burning out a few more times than I cared to say. And when you burn out that many
Yeah,
times, it's about, there's a light bulb up here going, hello, wake up.
yeah.
And when I finally learned that life is too short to be that serious and that intense. You know, we have to really take a good look at ourselves and say, who says that we're that important? I consider myself important because I'm now a messenger. I'm a messenger for happiness. I'm a messenger for positivity. I'm a messenger for speaking in positive manner. I'm a messenger for learning how to reduce stress levels. And as a messenger to do all that in the workplace, my gosh, performance skyrockets. Performance just expands so much. And what I found is those times when we are so serious all the time, we sort of suck the life out of people, and we suck the life out of ourselves too.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, first and foremost. And would you say that that has to do with a lot of pretending and acting? Do you think that's really who people are?
You know, I think that's who people are often trained to be. We train them to be, or we train ourselves to be so intense in the corporate way. I'll never forget when I was 27 years old, and I owned my manufacturing company. I was a 27-year-old kid. I owned a manufacturing company where we were working with, I was making electrical control panels and baggage racks, and I was working in a man's world. And I thought I was a big shot, and I had to be a big shot and act like a big shot because that was the only way I could survive in that world.
Yeah.
And I will never.
You had to copy. You had to copy. I hope lots of these corporate women are listening. Ladies, you don't have to copy us. Please don't.
No, exactly, don't. And I will never forget, you know, one of the gentlemen who I met, who I knew very well. Actually, I knew him since I was a young woman, a very little girl. He knew my father. My father happened to be in the same industry but working for another company. And the very first day that I went to his company, because I ended up landing a large contract with them, I said to him, would you like to go out to lunch? Well, he thought that was so funny. He called my dad and said, do you believe she asked me to go out to lunch, little Ana Teresa, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I was mortified. I was mortified, and that's when I realized, what am I doing? What am I doing? That was the very first time I had a meeting with him, and I invited him out to lunch. That was 30 years ago. Okay, 30 years ago. And I was embarrassed. I was like, okay, there's nobody around to teach me the ropes. There's nobody around to teach me what to do. I could only do what I was shown by the men in my world. And I'll tell you, it was challenging. It was really hard. And some of the guys that I met, they were all engineers, way too intense. Oh my gosh, took themselves way too seriously.
Yeah, I know. I was, you know, in my corporate life, I was surrounded by engineers. I was a consultant, and I was leading. I was like pretty much on the customer relationship side, slash sales and marketing, and I was the one that kind of held the customer and the technical staff together, because if I let the technical staff talk to the customer would cancel the contract within 24 hours.
Oh my. Oh my.
So I had to do the translations, and I had to make sure that certain meetings were rehearsed by the technical staff, because they would go off on the side to you know, their crazy world, and they would lose the customer, you know.
Yeah, no, I understand completely. And, you know, that kind of stress, one of the things that I often say is that, you know, companies want me to come in and they want me to teach their employees stress management. I said, I will teach your employees stress management only when we get to work with your leaders first, because studies show that the leaders are the ones who create the stress for their employees.
Good one.
You know? Really. So why am I going to go in and teach your employees all these different ways of managing stress, which I can help them. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I can't help them. However, think about it. If you teach the lawyers all about stress management, if you teach them, boy, I hope that's not too loud in the background there. If you
it's a little bit loud, but it's okay. I just want to make sure our viewers know that that Terry is at the airport, and I'm looking forward to more and more of these reality shows where we actually don't worry about the setting, because the setting doesn't matter. What matters is the content, right? And the people
Well, I
that are
have to
doing
tell you, one of my clients just walked by and she's looking at me like, "What are you doing?"
She's on YouTube Live, and hopefully this show will go to PBS, and they will go.
That's right.
You know, all the professional producers will go, "What the heck are they doing?" Not only this show is not, you know, everything that we say is pretty much free flow because we don't talk about even what we're going to do on the show at all. We just
No, we
generate
don't.
ourselves
It is definitely free flow.
yeah, in the moment, and producers on commercial television will freak out because they have to control every word that comes out of your mouth and my mouth.
Well, today, when I saw what was happening with the airlines, I made a conscious decision, and I just said, law of attraction, I'm going to allow this whole thing to unfold. It is going to unfold exactly as it has to, and I let go of control. I just let go of control. I got off the airplane. I found a nice, quote-unquote, quiet place, and I'm sitting on the floor of the airline here. So that's part of law of attraction also when it comes to the workplace. I could have chosen to get really, really upset about it all and called you and said, "Steve, I can't do the show. I'm going to be an hour late. I'm not going to be in front of my computer at home, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, no way. This is fun. Just let it go.
This is great. I really acknowledge you and appreciate that you kept going, because this is a great example to the viewers that this is how we can, this is the choice that we have how to live life. Like we can just cancel out, which is the easy thing to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we are trained to do, if there are challenges, let's just not do it. Now there are certain things, like the other day I had a huge storm and we had no power for 6 hours. Well, I mean, I had to cancel the show because I had no power. But if I could generate power, I wouldn't have done it. You know what I mean?
Maybe you should get a generator.
I guess I'm going to have to at some point.
You know? Yeah, so, but to get back to what we were talking about with the workplace and law of attraction, you know, one of the things that a lot of us who are sales professionals, you know, I am a speaker. I travel all over the place. And as sales professionals, a lot of them travel all over the place. And, you know, there are times when we need to let go and allow, and things are going to just fall into place easily. What I have learned is, for example, one of the reasons I went to Miami is because I have a 91-year-old mom and an 88-year-old dad. My mom's a cougar, you know, and she. At
88.
No, my dad's 88. My mother's the 91-year-old. That's what I'm saying. My mom's a cougar.
Oh, okay. Oh my God.
Laughing.
They're up there, but age doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. And they're doing very well. Her birthday was on Sunday. But what I did was I was able to do a lot of networking events. And I was able to meet a ton of folks in the Miami area. And I had an absolute blast. And what I learned was that a lot of the folks were very intense, and a lot of them were really easygoing based on my energy. When I was relaxed, I attracted the people who were nice and calm, and they were wonderful. When I got a little bit tense, when I really didn't know where I was going, I started to attract tense folks. And I thought, oh, this isn't working. I have to shift my energy. And I talk in Law of Attraction about hitting the reset button. And I imagine in my heart a giant reset button. And when I put that reset button in my heart, that's my clue. I imagine it in my head, it's in my heart, to take a deep breath and reset my energy and my focus. My happiness comes back, my smile comes back, I reset my perspective, and it's like, okay, I'm going to attract people who are authentic, people who are in integrity, people who are happy, and people who are loose. And oh my gosh, did I have a phenomenal time. I met the most phenomenal people down there. And connected, I ended up going to 3 different networking events. And I have been, little by little, I'm getting my way down there because I do want to travel and do more speaking down there. And I truly believe that a lot of it was set by my mindset and my own energy. So what you focus on is what you get. So again, when I was intense and tense, both, I was attracting people that I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good. I wasn't feeling good. And when I hit that internal reset button in my heart, then I started to attract the people I really wanted to work with. Does that make sense, Steve?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Fantastic. I actually would like to correlate that to something that I speak about quite a bit on my shows, which has to do with, and it fits perfectly. What you're describing, just another way of saying it, is we are at any moment going in and out of consciousness. So
Here we are.
when we're in consciousness, we're actually connected to our hearts, and when we are connected to our hearts, and we let our energy of love and our spirit run the show, then stress management doesn't exist and doesn't get a hold of us. What gets a hold of us, or how the stress management gets a hold of us, is when we're in our ego, and if we let the ego to run the show. If the ego runs the show, you bet you're going to be stressed because it's trying to manage it for us.
Well,
and it's telling us all the things that has happened in our past that's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And all the people that you come in contact with. Oh my God, and then if we get involved with somebody that's also stressed out, I mean, what are your choices?
Well, exactly. Well, you do have choices, and the choice you have is, at every single moment, you have a choice in how you choose to react to your perceptions. Perception is huge. I was just reading, studying on the airplane, Matrix Reimprinting by Carl Dawson. And one of the things they talk about is perception. And our perception of the world is going 24/7, 24/7, 24/7, 24/7. And we do have choices as to how we are going to respond to that. Heart to Math Institute, who I'm licensed with as a coach, I got licensed with them in 2001. They talk about perception. Our perceptions of what's going on around us can be positive or negative. So say somebody lost their job. Okay, they just unfortunately got their pink slip. They can go one of two ways. They can go into poor me mode, or they can say, okay, fine, I got it. It's now time for me to look at other opportunities that are out there. I've been wanting to leave this job for a while anyway. So they got the kick in the butt that they needed. And sure enough,
the door just closed, another one is about to open.
Yes, exactly. So I've seen that happen over and over and over again with my own clients. So it really is perception. And with the way I teach law of attraction, perception creates your words create your thoughts create your vibes, which is your energy, and that's what's in your heart. And that then creates your results. So there's 5 parts of that. Your words, I'm going to put my hands up. Your words create, I don't know if you can see my hands. Anyway, words create, a perception creates words. Words create thoughts. Thoughts create vibes. Vibes create your results. So, and those vibes can be either positive or negative. So your positive or negative perception can create positive or negative words that create positive or negative thoughts, that create positive or negative vibes, that create positive or negative results. And ultimately, it is our choice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I am 100% in agreement with that. So one more thing I want to touch on about stress management, which is when you go into a training engagement with corporate America, how do you recognize senior management in terms of their stress level? How do you read it? How do you pick it up? How do you know it?
Their body language, tone, and words. Body language, tone, words, and then I can actually feel their energy. I can feel, one of the things that we talk about is what is creating, I ask them what is creating the stress in their lives. And one of the things please remember this too, is that when I go and work with someone, I am a certified executive coach, and when I work with someone, we don't start working about business stuff first. We start working on the personal first. Because oftentimes it's the personal stuff that is creating a lot of the stress in the workplace for them.
And vice versa.
Yeah. So once
At
we,
home, at
like,
home, it's the corporate life that creates the
well,
stress.
yeah. So once we, but I'm not even talking about that. What I'm talking about is, and you are right, Steve. What I'm talking about is, there could be things that have happened. Say an event that had happened 3 or 4 years ago in the workplace for the specific leader, and it created a sense of where they feel a lack of self-worth when something specific happens. They don't know how to shift out of that emotion of the lack of self-worth that is directly connected to that event. So then what I do is, once I do my discovery, we go into that event, and sometimes I don't even have to have them relive it. Using NLP, using EFT, using matrix imprinting, using a lot of the tools that I have, we can heal the emotions around those events and clear out all of that trauma. So you've got the big T trauma, really big traumas that can happen with post-traumatic stress syndrome, with our men and women in war and that kind of thing. And you've got little traumas that are similar to this, and they all affect us and get in our way of success.
Got it. So there's this perception in corporate America that I still remember that personal stuff and business stuff don't mix. How do you
Yeah.
how do you work around that?
Well, here's what I say to people. The mistake that used to be, what they used to say is, leave your emotions at the door. That's what people. That's what
Good
leave
luck.
your emotions
Good
at the
luck
door.
with that.
Well, that's what the personal stuff. That's what they meant with the personal stuff. Leave your stuff at the door. So
Yeah.
what I say when I teach my communications class, when I teach my leadership, stress management, and communication classes, what I always say is, instead of you need your emotions. Your emotions drive absolutely everything. It drives the practical, the technical, and the logical. It drives absolutely everything that you do, your emotions. So what we do is we bring our emotions with us through that door. What we do is we leave the drama behind. Leave the drama out in the street, but bring your emotions with you, because those emotions are the drivers to absolutely everything we do.
Yeah. So you teach them how to manage their emotions.
Yes.
That they are not their emotions, right?
That's right. Well, I actually do tell them that they are their emotions. I have them leave the drama behind. For example, like the girl in the airplane who was getting all dramatic about her, her thing, and I turned around and looked at her. I said, "You're looking at that instead of the miracle." I teach them how to look at the positive side of stuff and to walk in the door looking positive. For example, you can have someone who gets out of the house, they spilled their coffee, they changed their outfit a million times, blah, 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 that kind of stuff is happening. They have a choice when they get in that car to either keep focusing on all that stuff or to put their hands on the wheel, say, I am not going to allow that to control the rest of the day, and start looking as they're driving into work at the beautiful trees or the sky or the wonderful things that are happening that are along their way, and walk in the door a very different person than the person who had the coffee spill on them and had to change their outfit 3 times. They may have ended up wearing an outfit that was twice as nice as the first outfit they picked up. So these are the ways to shift and bring positive emotions in that front door with them at work. And it makes a big difference when they do that. Very tiny little simple techniques can make a difference with how you are going to run and rule your day. That's what I'm talking about with choices, and your perceptions create your words create your thoughts create vibes create your positive or negative emotions.
Yeah,
We're in control of it.
Yeah. So I'm glad you kind of brought up, you brushed on business image, because 30 some years ago when I started, the first time in big corporate America with ITT, it was actually in Tennessee. I was not even allowed to go to work without a tie. I mean, it was
Right.
if you went to work without a tie, they sent you home.
Yeah.
And you had to go pick one up and put it on, or don't come to work. And then I continued. I worked for some of the biggest Big 5 consulting firms in the nation and worldwide, and same thing. We could, there was an image that the tie and the suit communicated something in business,
Right.
that that you were serious. And when we were charging $500 an hour
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking around these days. I mean, this is 30 years ago. I'm looking around these days how casual people in business got. What?
Yes.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that. How
Okay,
is
well,
that working out?
it's interesting that you brought that up. And the reason is 27 years ago, I got certified as an image consultant. So what started my practice today started out as a certified image consultant. And I actually would go into corporations and I would be asked to come in and speak to women's groups and men and teach business dress. I would teach business etiquette. I would teach business dress. I would do color and style. We would get into all of that stuff. And you're absolutely right. The world has gotten a lot more casual. Now, is that such a bad thing? I believe there's a time and a place for the appropriate dress. The thing is, a lot of our kids don't know how to dress appropriately. I do go into colleges and universities and have taught. I don't do it as much now, but I have taught in the past shaking hands properly. Do you want to know how many people have no clue how to shake hands today? It is amazing.
Yeah.
People who don't know how to shake hands, people who don't know how to wear an appropriate dress. For example, at the networking event that I went to on Friday, there was one gentleman that I met that was wearing a t-shirt and jeans. This was business networking. Hello? You know, that bothered me a little bit because it was taking casual too far. Okay,
Yeah.
and they did say business casual. I got that. However, that's taking it way too far. And it is about understanding that if I'm going to go, if you're a financial planner, financial planners know that when they go to a corporate account, they better be well dressed. Women need to know when they need to be well dressed. 27 years ago, you better make sure. You know, I am going to tell you, I wore dress, stockings, and high heels everywhere I went. Am I a little bit more casual? I wear trousers everywhere I go now because of the amount of traveling that I do. It just makes it a lot easier for me. However, do I always make it a point of looking professional? I do, because here's what I've learned. Whether you are at a ballpark, whether you are in an airport like I am right now, your clothes say so much about you. I never know who I'm going to be sitting next to. You never know who you're going to be sitting next to. And if you're looking for a job, you never know where you're going to be sitting next to. If you go to a ballpark and you happen to go with beat up sandals or sneakers, beat up shorts and a beat up shirt, and you happen to be a lawyer looking for a job, how do you know that you're not going to end up sitting next to somebody who's going to either introduce you to a law firm or knows of a law firm that they can connect with you? But if you look like that, holy Toledo. I'm not saying go dress to a ball game in a suit. What I'm saying is wear a clean pair of sneakers, wear a nice pair of shorts, and wear a really nice shirt. Okay, so that you look at least put together in a casual format. Look neat, groomed, look good, because you never know what to expect. You just don't know. And interviewing today, it's the same thing. Call HR, call human resources, ask what is the appropriate dress for the job that I'm going for with the with the specific person I'm going to. Your HR department can give you a ton of information on what is appropriate and what isn't appropriate for that specific company.
Yeah,
So you got
I wonder what percentage of our youth, like I mean, in the 20s and in the early 30s, made that mistake of like not showing up to an interview properly dressed.
well, it doesn't happen as much as you think, I believe, because colleges and the universities are very tuned and tapped and turned on to teaching graduating juniors and seniors how to interview and dress appropriately. A lot of them have programs on how to do that. Now, one of the things though that I find is once they're done with the interview, what I find is once they get to the job, they get a little bit casual and aren't dressing the way they should be dressing. I've had to hold some of my interns to task, actually, on the way they were dressing, because some of the dresses are too short, and we're running around, especially in my industry, where I'm running around speaking and setting things up and whatever. It's about being very cautious about what, how you dress and that it's appropriate because you're going to be on camera.
Yeah, I understand. So, you've written a number of books, and this latest one, I don't know if it's released, it may be because it's at 2015, but this new book, the title, The Missing Piece in Business.
Yes.
It's such a great title because it grabbed my eye, and I want to know, and I'm sure our viewers want to know, what's the missing piece in business?
Okay. Well, the missing piece in business is actually it's an anthology. It was created by a phenomenal woman named Kate Gardner. There are 3 missing piece in business books. I happen to be the missing. I'm sorry. There are 3 missing piece books. I happen to be in the missing piece in business. And what I wrote about, which is very important to me, is networking skills, which fits everything else we've been talking about. And what I find is that the networking piece is a piece that a lot of folks don't take seriously. And they really lack the understanding of the power of networking and networking well. Case in point, yesterday at this event that I went to, I am joining the local Chamber of Commerce, Coral Gables Chamber of Commerce down in Miami, because I am going to be going down there every other month. Phenomenal chamber, by the way, for anybody who wants to do work in South Florida. And I went to a networking event yesterday, and there were people that were just standing there by themselves. They were just standing there by themselves. They weren't making an effort to go talk with other folks, nor was anybody else making an effort to go talk with them. Yours truly made a beeline for those people. I connected with the vice president of a bank. I connected with a person who is the area director for a retail company, organization. I connected with such niche folks who were just looking a little lost. So when you go to a networking event, go and shake hands. Simple things like putting your name tag on the right side of your body, because when you shake hands with that person, you're using all of your skills. You're using the kinesthetic, you're using the visual, you're using the auditory, and you're reading the name tag all at once. Bada bing, bada boom, right there.
Yeah.
And you're creating dialogue. So I talk about all this in that chapter. The most important thing after you make the connection is follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. And I'm going to say it again. Follow up. Why bother going to a networking event if you're not going to follow up? And and I sat there and I went home. I had 30 business cards between the event on Friday and the one yesterday, and I'm typing all these he sent me credit cards, business cards into my database, uploaded them into my email information, and I sent out a newsletter basically saying it was so great to meet you, and I did it for each event, for the people that I met at each event. And thank you so much, it was great to meet you, blah, 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 blah. I look forward to seeing you again. This is my contact information, and I gave them a free gift that they could download. Now, yesterday, I did that for the people. I went to 3 networking events. I did that already for the first 2 people. The one from yesterday I just got while I was waiting for the airplane into my database. I went to a meeting at noon yesterday. I went to the one at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I went to one at noon yesterday. The woman who I met at noontime said to me she was blown away that I had such fast follow-up. And the fact that I gave a free gift, she says, no one I know has ever done that before.
Yeah, fantastic. So a couple of things that came to me about what you were just talking about, because I was at a breakfast, a kind of a networking breakfast yesterday morning, and I was what you call the table captain, because I was responsible to make sure that the 12 seats at my table were full, and that people came. And the first thing I wanted to mention to you is that 2 people that have RSVP'd with me didn't show up, nor did they bother to call or even send me an email.
Right.
I feel that is so rude and unacceptable.
It is. It is.
Today.
It is.
I don't know if it was ever accepted behavior, but to me, because I've been working the last 2 months making sure that my table was full.
Right.
and
Well,
it was full, but they never showed.
yes, I understand completely what you're saying. It is rude. And the reason it's rude is because if they had called you, or, hey, things do come up. Let's face it. Things always come up. I get it. Who would have ever thought that I'd be sitting on the floor of an airport, having this thing with you, okay? So
Yeah,
things happen. All you need to do is text, make sure everybody has your phone number, and text that
yeah.
person
Just
to
let me
pick up
know.
the phone and
Yeah,
call.
just let me know.
And guess what? You could have picked up the phone and called somebody else and say, you know what, we just had a cancellation at our table. I would love to have you come. Would you like to come? And it would have given you the opportunity to invite 2 more people to the table who would have loved to have been there.
Yeah, well, this was very early. It started at 7:30 in the morning, so I don't want to call anybody at 7:30 in the morning.
No,
But
no.
here's the thing. What followed that is, and if I forget, remind me. I want to talk about eye contact. But
Okay.
right
Okay.
after that, what happened is as soon as the organization that I was part of there found out that 2 people were missing, they took 2 bodies and set them down.
Ah,
That's great. That's fantastic. I love it. But they forgot to introduce them to me, or at least to the table.
okay.
So it was kind of awkward, and I'm going like, okay, so there has to be some. I mean, I don't know if there's some etiquette here that people
Okay.
could follow, but you don't you don't just sit people down at a table and don't introduce them. So I kind of reached out to them and looked them in the eye and I said, welcome to the table, and please introduce yourself to the person to your left or to your right, and just welcome. Um,
And you did exactly what should have been done. That was brilliant on your part, and that's what I was going to suggest. It's not their fault that the organizers didn't introduce them to you. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
did
it wasn't their
exactly what
fault,
needed to be done.
but they felt awkward too. We felt
Okay.
everybody at the table, because when I invited everybody came in to registration and they sat down, I personally introduced every person to every other person.
Right. Okay. So what I would say is feedback to the organization is when this kind of thing happens, it would be appreciated by me as a table captain to be told and introduced to these people before they come to the table, because once you go to the table, then you can make a point of introducing them to everybody else, which makes it a lot easier. So that's just feedback for the organizers.
Yeah,
It's very
absolutely.
positive. That's
Yeah.
actually very positive feedback for the organizers. And usually there are ambassadors for these organizations, and it's up to the ambassadors to really make those connections and make them positive ones so everybody's comfortable.
Yeah, very good. So the other thing I wanted you to just spend a couple minutes on is eye contact. This whole business about shaking people's hands,
Yes.
and I mean, this has been a challenge for a lot of people when I was in corporate America, and I don't know how much that has changed, but I still go to events and I still see it as a challenge. People are looking
Yes.
away. People
Okay.
people are
Got it.
what's going on?
All right, well, I'll tell you what's happening right there. First of all, as you know, eye contact is very, very important. And I'm going to share a story with you that did happen. And I was actually going to write a blog post about it, and it happened this weekend, and I was the one who was wrong. All right, so I'm full transparency. I blew it. What happened was I went to a women's luncheon. So it was on, I've lost track of what's today. Today's what? Thursday. So I went to
Thursday.
I went to women's luncheon on Tuesday. And my first time at this specific event and arena, met fantastic people at this table. I had a blast. And one of the gentlemen who was sitting across from me, the moment he heard what I did, I have this person to introduce you to you and this person to introduce you to, and it's really important that the 2 of you meet, blah, blah, blah. Now, the speaker was a doctor. She was an OBGYN, and she happened to go to a college that was a rival to my husband's college. So I wanted to talk with her about a couple things after the event. Here's what happened. The doctor was sitting down, and she was just a very sweet, very open person. I went up to the gentleman who was interacting with me, who wanted to talk with me about everything, and about this other woman that she wanted to introduce me to, who is a speaker and creates an event and all this other stuff. And he and I are talking. All of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see the doctor start to get up from the table and leave. I went into panic mode because I knew intuitively I had to speak with the doctor, and here I am, this guy is giving me this valuable information. And I'm looking at him going, oh my God. And I actually said these words to him: I am being so rude to you. I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I wanted to make sure that I talk with the doctor, and I know you want to give me information. Please don't take this as personally. And I apologize profusely that I was losing eye contact with him because I was distracted by this other woman. Absolute faux pas on my part. I should have never done that, and what I did was I stepped out of trust with law of attraction that I would automatically be connected with the doctor at just the right time. I didn't follow my own advice. I wrote him an apology. I emailed him an apology on how I was rude, and I was going to do a blog post, a blog post on that specific thing that you're talking about. So what happens was, you're talking with someone at a networking event, and you see someone else you want to talk to. I am a nutcase about keeping eye contact. I really am. I'm a nutcase about that. And because it is rude when you look away from someone. However, because that happened to me, I get how it happens.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I was completely rude, and he started laughing because I was so embarrassed. I could feel my face getting red. I felt like I was caught in a catch-22. And I wanted to listen to him, and the doctor was leaving. I just completely stepped out of my own trust with law of attraction. So now, at other events that I've gone to, people that I have, the moment I see them start to look around though, what I do is, I will say to them, well, I know there's other people here that you want to meet. It was great meeting you. If we haven't exchanged business cards at that point, one of the things that drives me crazy is when someone hands me their card right away. It's too early in the conversation. You wait and create a connection with that person. Yeah. If I see that they are looking around after we've talked for a while, I'll ask them, may I have your business card, or would you like to exchange cards? And at that point, we exchange cards. I say thank you to them, and we go and meet other people. So that's a technique you can use when you see somebody who's looking around. And it works for me every time. Because frankly, I don't want to keep talking with somebody who's looking in 20 million different directions. There's no connect.
Well, you can't.
You can't. The connection.
They're not in the present moment. They're in the future.
Well, it's not even that. They're being rude.
They probably don't know it. So,
right.
Here's a couple of things I want to make sure we cover before the show is over. Believe it or not, this conscious hour is like 5 minutes. So I'm going to make sure we cover intuitive leadership because I'm very, I'm very curious about that. So, so let's talk about intuitive leadership and how do you train people about that. So, I mean, I think most people probably know what leadership is.
Yes, they do.
I mean, we don't need to define it, but I have a policy that I normally don't ever ask anybody to do anything for me that I haven't done myself or wouldn't be willing to do it myself, right?
And that's very special. Not all, that is a very special gift that you have as a leader. There are leaders that lack that perspective in the workplace. You know it, and I know it.
Yeah.
You know it, and I know it.
Yeah,
so now here's what happens with intuition. Some of your most amazing leaders in the world are intuitive. Amazing leaders are intuitive. And intuition is something that is absolutely huge. And when I read the book, The Corporate Mystic by Gay Hendricks, it's an old book. It's what started me on my journey.
I read that book.
Yeah,
Yeah, I actually had him on our network. He's been on the network.
That book for me, and I look forward to the day I meet him, because he launched what I automatically knew in my heart. He launched for me my passion teaching leaders how to tap into that sixth sense, that sense that every single one of us have. And we have, in many cases, it's been drilled out of us by people in our world who are very black and white, and it has to all be practical, tactical, and logical. And a really gifted, intuitive leader works with the energetic, the practical, the intuitive, the spiritual, the tactical, the logical, and the emotional. And when you work with all of those components, that leader becomes unstoppable. And this is what my next book is all about. It's all about intuitive leadership.
Yeah, fantastic. So it's a way for people to be at all times being plugged into
Yes.
the energy of the environment, the energy of other people, and I do this all day long. And I wanted to add something that I have as a foundation, and I just noticed that I've been always about that, which is I am the kind of person, I connect the dots. I don't know how better to say that, and a lot of people don't.
Yes.
And so I take things from a lot of different places, and then I connect them because everything I'm noticing that I do is like that. It's knowing, also knowing what makes somebody tick, what makes somebody wanting to do something with me or with them. I mean, it's all connected. Everything is connected.
Yes, it is. It is all connected. And you know, the thing with intuitive leadership is it's also about being courageous, Steve, because when you're a leader and you are working in an industry that is very practical, tactical, and logical, following your intuition takes courage. And sometimes following your intuition flies in the face of what other people believe.
Yeah. Because what normally people want to do is, quote unquote, how it always has been done.
Yes, exactly. And some of your greatest leaders in history have trusted their intuition and have done what they intuitively knew had to be done. And magic happened. Miracles happened. Everything fell into place because they knew. They just knew.
So see if you could share like a personal example of your intuitive leadership so that people could really get it.
Okay. I'm going to do it simply. Okay, I'm going to use something, because intuitive leadership is about using the heart, shifting into the heart. It's also shifting into your knowing. It's also working with law of attraction. Okay? And I feel the easiest way to describe it is not settling. And I'm going to use the example of my... Oops, go ahead.
If you hear that noise, I don't know if you hear it.
Yes.
But that's the warning. There's a tornado warning in our area. So don't let until 3:15. Don't let that bother you, because until the tornado is actually touching down, we have nothing to worry about.
Okay, let's recap here. Late flights, okay, being stuck at an airport, and you with tornado warning. I mean, what does that say about our topics and how we are churning things up with these topics? Think about it. Think about it.
It's fantastic, and it's like I'm not letting it bother me at all. You know, it's like I'm not freaking out. You know, it's whatever.
And I've got all these people looking at me like, hey, who cares? Okay, let me get back to the example of what I'm talking about with intuitive leadership.
Great.
I'm going to use my house. It's not so much a workplace thing, but it's a personal thing with intuitive leadership. I intuitively knew what I wanted. I'm a military wife. I moved 10 times in 12 years. Okay, I knew what kind of house I wanted. And in a nutshell, because I'm looking at the time for our show, in a nutshell, I had everything written down. Boom, 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 boom. Every single thing I wanted and everything I didn't want was written down. Okay, I knew what neighborhood I wanted to live in. I knew it was crystal clear. And this was before I really understood law of attraction, by the way. In my heart, I intuitively knew that this house was out there. I'm talking, Steve, down to the hammock between two trees and the wooden swing in the backyard for the kids. I wanted the living room and the dining room in the same house, the kitchen and the den on the same side of the house. I wanted X amount of bathrooms, X amount of bedrooms, bada bing, bada boom, done, done, done. That clear. Color, everything, everything, everything. Landscaped. The detail was ridiculous. For 1 year, we shopped for houses. I was waiting for the feeling, the guidance, the feeling, the guidance, and I was driving everybody around me crazy, including my realtor. We finally decided to stop looking and let go of control, because it was all about control for me at that point. I was adopting a baby and writing my first book. This is 1998, okay? The day I let go of control, the next day the house showed up. When I walked in that house, I had my checklist, and my husband, like I said, my husband kept saying, Terry, there's so many houses that are close. It's not the house. I will know that house. I saw that house in the paper. We went in, my checklist, bang, 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 because I intuitively knew that my home was there and I wasn't willing to settle. And that piece right there, settling, when leaders settle, when they have that intuitive thing going on in their gut that says, don't settle, don't go there, and everybody else is, yeah, 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 you know, do it, do it, do it, and you know it's wrong. Follow your gut. Follow your gut, because you're right. Your gut always leads you where you need to go.
And if you don't, then it's going to cost you later.
It will cost. No, it will cost. It's always, you know, there was one time that I was on a board where we were hiring a leader for a school. And the board members were petrified that no one else would be good enough or would show up. This one person that they wanted to hire was someone that I wanted absolutely no parts of. And I kept saying, there will be somebody showing up. There will be somebody, the right person is going to show up. Nope. They weren't willing to listen. And unfortunately, they paid for it. They paid for it. And I don't take pride in that. What I wish was that there was a trust that the right person was going to show up. Instead, there was a fear that
they're not going to get the right person, and this is the best they could do. Exactly.
That's where they went. And it was hard trying to get them to they went along with it. And like I said, they paid for it, unfortunately. I opened my mouth. I stated exactly the reasons why, so I have a clear conscience on that.
Awesome. All right, so I want to touch on workplace spirituality before we end the show. And the reason why, not only because the show is about mind, body, and soul, but of course it's related. But I had an experience when I worked for one of these very large consulting firm that I got fired from. So here we go, full disclosure, Terry. And what I got fired for is because I made a request of my team that before every meeting I would walk them through a meditation. And the purpose of the meditation was, I always told them, is for you to leave all the stuff that you are going to bring into this meeting on the other side of the door. I want you to be present. And and they somehow it leaked out, and it got in the hands of senior management, and they wouldn't have anything to do with it. And how
long ago was that, Steve?
20 years ago. So I'm sure things are different now, but I just want you to paint a picture for us because I'm not in corporate America anymore. How different things are in terms of workplace spirituality. Well,
and there's still workplaces that first the first question I would ask is everybody, are the people who are on your team willing to do that, or are they being coerced into doing it? That would be the first question a higher up may want to ask where that situation is concerned. As far as I'm concerned, if it's not bothering anybody else and people want to do that to get themselves grounded and centered for the day, I encourage, instead of using the word meditation, just a grounding and centering moment. Okay, which is for corporate America works a little bit better. However, having said that, they are finally getting it, Steve. That grounding, centered. Some of the corporations have rooms that people can go into to chill out in, so that they can think. Some, corporations are getting it, that it is important to tune and tap and turn on in order to be able to be creative, in order to be able to lead, in order to be able to do their job efficiently. So that is changing. And whereas some companies may not call it workplace spirituality, they call it wellness. Okay? As long as it stays away from having a religious connotation. People don't realize that spirituality and religion are two very different things. People can be religious but not spiritual, and people can be spiritual and without being religious. So, workplace spirituality for me has been a very special term. It's something I've always loved, but now what I use is workplace wellness is actually the word that I've used right now to help people get grounded and centered.
What's acceptable right now? Like, how far can you?
Acceptable. When you say grounding and centering is very acceptable. People can get very quiet. Like I said, some of the corporations now have those quiet rooms. There are a lot of companies actually bringing massage people into the workplace. All right, they have yoga. They have all of these different practices that years ago would have been considered taboo. So some people may call it.
Like let me give you an example. I mean, just let me just remind you before people didn't hear this, and I do this before every show that I do, that I make a request of people and the guests, sometimes there are multiple guests, that to have them open their heart. Okay, so that's my way of I guess representing workplace spirituality. I made a request of you, not that I already know that you're open to this, but it's a reminder for the both of us to make sure that our hearts are open and that we are present and connected. And so would that be acceptable, do you think, in corporate America?
I believe it is, and here's why. The scientific, especially when it comes to stress management, the scientific evidence, especially out of the HeartMath Institute, when I teach stress management, I go in and teach people how to tap into their hearts, because scientifically it has been proven that when you shift into that part of your body, you're engaging the brain and the heart together so that you're in the zone so that you can use the workplace. So you've got the science behind it to be able, as a team leader, to say, let's keep our hearts open so that we can get into the zone to perform to our maximum potential.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I hate to do what I have to do next, which is close the show, because I could talk to you, probably for the rest of the evening. However, you need to go. You need to go home.
I do.
And I want to really acknowledge you, Terry, who you are being, in the world, and
thank you.
The work that you are doing with leaders, because working with leaders, have the potential of changing thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people, and having an effect on corporate America, and boy, can we use the help, like really. So yes. I love what it is that you do and who you are being, and I thoroughly enjoyed the show, and
I thank you for having me on.
Thank you for not taking the easy way out, and
no way. Thank you for putting up with all of the airport noise.
It's fine. We didn't have any issues. So it's starting to rain, so we're still here. Okay. Tornado didn't come, so everything is cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I just want to remind all of our viewers that please support our shows. If you are really bored with commercial television and you're sick and tired of listening what's on there, And I'm not even going to describe what's on there because we all know what it is. And if you would like to have programming like this that's really making a difference in my life, in Terry's life, in everybody's life, please go to ConsciousEvolutionMedia.com, engage with us. I'm even going to ask you to put your hand in your pocket and spend some money supporting what we do, because without that, we don't have a prayer against what commercial television is doing, because corporate America, as we all know, they have billions of dollars just to spend on commercials. And if we all get together and use our resources wisely, I even thought about this yesterday, Terry. If everybody that watches our shows and interested in this kind of programming just donated $1 at Indiegogo, at our site, we're talking about huge amounts of money that we can use to get this programming all over the country.
So how about throwing the challenge out there, Steve? $1.
Yeah. I'm not even asking for, the minimum is $35. Just give $1.
$1.
I mean, people give $1 to the homeless at the corner. Just give $1. If everybody gives $1, guess what? All of our top 10 shows every month can go to PBS, and it's going to be all over the country.
Isn't that amazing? So let's put the challenge out there. $1.
That's how simple it is.
$1.
Yeah, $1. Just go donate $1. And we will absolutely thank you and appreciate you for it. So thank you so much. Terry, you've been absolutely terrific. I love you, and I love all the viewers, and I love life, and I just love what we're up to. It's a great time to live on planet Earth. It
really is. It really is. Thank you again for the opportunity, Steve. It was fun.
Thank you. And we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. ConsciousEvolutionMedia.com. See you guys. Bye.